stay with us. We're going to bring in now here in the Canberra studio a Labor MP, Victorian MP, Michael Danby, Julia Gillard supporter. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
What a lucky time for me to be here, eh?
We should point out a scheduled appearance on the program, so we do appreciate you sticking by your commitment to come on the program.
Okay.
So a ballot will take place in just over 2 hours. Will you still be voting for Julia Gillard?
Yeah, I certainly will, and I thought she handles herself with you with great poise, as you'd expect of a Prime Minister. As one of your witty commentators said, if all Australians could get to actually speak to her and know her, they'd develop a liking for her. I won't say the other half of what he said as well.
Do you think she will win, though? That's the big question.
Look, I believe she will. I hope she will. I think it would be for the good of Australia that she did. I think people are expecting a contest between Gillard and Tony Abbott, and that's in my view, how it should be. I think changing at this stage is unfair to the Australian people.
Would you expect Kevin Rudd to give the same undertaking that Prime Minister Gillard gave, that he will leave politics if he loses tonight?
Yes, I would expect that. I think that the Prime Minister's call for that to happen is something that everyone in the Labor Party, everyone in the country could understand. No country can have a government convulsed by introspection and not discussing issues of matters to the public on and on. This is the 4th or 5th time, I can't remember how many times you've made me run around like a hamster in one of those wheels, but the point is enough is enough, and we're here to support the Labor Party, not one individual in particular, but Gillard is the best person in my view. I understand people who are honest and good people have different views.
Who do you blame for the fact that you've been in this position, having to, as you say, run around the hamster wheel so many times in the last few years?
Well, I think this is a function of the hung parliament and the determination of all of us to get all of this legislation through. It's meant that every single person, including people in the Labor Party who would normally be quite disciplined, have been tolerated in their indiscipline. And a lot of people have been critical of, for instance, Joel Fitzgibbon. Now, you've never had a chief whip who was in the position that he was in, where his vote was needed for the legislation, but he was able to get away with things that, frankly, I mean, I'm a friend of Joel's, but it's beyond the pale, some of the things that he did, and he wouldn't have been able to get away with it in the circumstances of either us being in a normal opposition or in a majority government.
Have you heard anything about this petition that's been circulating? Obviously, they haven't come to you to sign it, but is this the Loch Ness Monster, as Julia Gillard said, or have you actually seen it, spoken to people that have signed it?
There's a word in Yiddish which is Menschlichkeit, which means you behave like a big human. And I think not showing the Prime Minister this petition, not having the other candidate confront her is really unnecessary and unpleasant way of handling this challenge. People should go to each other, look each other in the eyes and say, I'm the candidate for the other side, I'm going to be challenging. What are the circumstances under which we have a fair fight?
Let me ask you what you think about Kevin Rudd's behaviour in the last few weeks. For all intents and purposes, he's been out helping marginal seat holders, maintaining his position that he's not going to challenge. Has he been an honest broker?
Look, Kevin criticised me because in some tiny gay publication I described this as an insurgency. And we've had a number of challenges. We've had this underground movement against the Prime Minister, and whether Kevin's hands on it were directly on it or he had his sort of spruikers going out doing it, it's pretty obvious to anyone who's an adult in politics what's been happening. Now, in the circumstances of the hung parliament, he could get away with it, but I think all Australians, all loyal Labor people have to accept the request of the Prime Minister. Enough is enough. If you win, you stay. If you don't win, you resign from politics. The Labor Party is a political organisation, not Coronation Street.
Well, I just want to report, in fact, Simon Benson at the Daily Telegraph's just reported that at 5 o'clock, so in about just under 20 minutes from now, Kevin Rudd will make a statement on whether he is going to contest this ballot. That will be coming to you from the caucus room. So we'll get our cameras down there for that happening fairly soon. We'll find out one way or another whether he's standing.
David, I'd appeal to Kevin, to the better angels of his soul, to accept the Prime Minister's suggestion that one of them retire from politics. If not, he's a good person. He's a very capable person as far as Australia is concerned. As I said last night on this channel, I would think he'd make a great future ambassador to China. But we can't have this internal confrontation continue endlessly. Please, accept her request to say this is it and you'll resign if you don't succeed.
If he does emerge tonight as the new leader, as the Prime Minister, where will that leave people like you?
Well, it'll be very difficult for us. We'll have to be humble and realise that we're working for an organisation, not for any one individual.
So you'd still, work for him?
I will go out and work for the interests of the Labor Party and for the interests in Australia that I represent as hard as I can.
Did you recognise that for a lot of Labor people that they would, and the polls have suggested this for a long time, Michael Danby, that they would see this as correcting a wrong that was done 3 years ago?
And there'll be even more people, I suggest to you, if Australia's first female Prime Minister is tipped out, a woman who's got through more than 500 pieces of legislation, who will be outraged. They'll think that we're a circus, like the New South Wales Parliament. I'll be appealing to them and working with them, whoever wins, to say that the policies that the Labor Party represents are more suitable for the vast majority of Australian people, and appealing to them on that basis. But I can understand there are good people on both sides, but there are equally a number of people who, if anything happens to our Prime Minister, will be very upset as well.
So you maintain, and would argue to your colleagues who are wavering tonight, that Julia Gillard is the best person to lead in terms of electoral performance as much as principle?
Stick to the course. We have great policies. The disability insurance is supported by people. The National School Improvement Program is the Victorian government's about to sign on. We're just on the point of winning all of the policy arguments. Now's not the time to give up on her.
Well, Michael Danby, we'll let you go because it is. We're about to get this announcement apparently in about 15 minutes from Kevin Rudd that he is going to contest the ballot. You said you want him to meet the conditions set by the Prime Minister to resign if he loses. Do you actually want him to run, to contest for the good of the party?
Oh, absolutely. I think this is sort of, it's on now.
Yeah.
It's on. He should contest. I would have preferred he came and discussed it with the Prime Minister and set down sort of guidelines for this particular contest. It hasn't happened, but please, Kevin, accept the Prime Minister's challenge. Do what's in the best interests of Australia and the Labor Party as well.
Michael Danby, thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. A difficult time, day for you, but a fascinating few hours ahead.
Thanks for asking me up at this lucky time.
We do appreciate it.